Welcome back to WAC. Stat breakdowns and conflict of nation news is what we do here. We also may be releasing a Let's Play video soon, so stay tuned. The topic of today will be armor in CON WW3. Some people say it is something that only newer players use, but others love to use armored units. Let's take a look at the large variety we have to choose from and see which units out of them, if any, are worth going for. We'll look at the stats first, then I'll give my opinion on each unit after. Starting with the recon vehicle, and I must say that this unit supremely sucks. It is hardly stronger than infantry, and is worse than them in a couple of ways. Not to mention that it is so much worse than most other armored units in all of the base stats. The only real perks are that they can scout and air assault. Armored fighting vehicles, which are basically light tanks, are awesome units in this game. They are a little cost ineffective, but make up for it, at least partially, by their versatility in different terrains. I didn't fully realize it until making this video, but amphibious tanks are absolute monsters. They are a little better than light tanks in most ways, but are also amphibious and can scout. A stack of amphibious tanks and marines will probably have 30% more attack versus a stack of infantry and light tanks. Main battle tanks are probably the most cost-effective way to get more attack and hit points in a stack. They are overall pretty good, but you have to seriously make sure you won't be engaging enemies in mountains or jungle. Tank destroyers are alright, I guess. If you know your enemies will have support units or other armor, this is a cheap way to get more damage on them, but you will need a way to make up for how weak they are against soft targets. One major part of this game is taking into account the terrain of your homeland and of whatever lands you plan on conquering in the future. As we can see, main battle tanks and tank destroyers take some forethought before producing, but all of the other armored units are basically good to go. Moving on, I would like to take a look at some unit comparisons that are really interesting. Looking at TDs versus MBTs, TDs are less than 50% cheaper, but are more than 50% weaker, and suffer greatly against soft targets. Really not worth going for unless you know you will be struggling for resources. Amphibious tanks are slightly better than light tanks in base stats, and are cheaper in a couple ways, but more expensive than most. The fact that they are amphibious is a pretty niche perk that not everyone will use, but being able to scout is just one heck of a perk to throw in there. Even if you are not going for fully amphibious stacks, they are totally worth it. But if you are in the Western Doctrine and have other scouting methods, going for just light tanks would be fine. Looking at light tanks versus main battle tanks, you can see that the reduction in cost is not proportionate to the reduction in power. Main battle tanks should be your armor of choice if you will not be dealing with mountains and jungle on a regular basis. Now let's take a look at what we learned and make a neat summary of each of these units. First off, don't go for scouts. They suck. Unless your in-game nation is incredibly poor and you won't be going for radar or drones, don't do it. Also, amphibious tanks are able to replace them very easily if you're going for light tanks regardless. So, yeah. Light tanks are great, especially if you are of the Western Doctrine. They will never replace main battle tanks, but are a great addition to any stack regardless. Amphibious tanks are just better light tanks, at least in Conflict of Nations. They have a niche ability, but are better than light tanks and scouting vehicles. And another note, if you are researching light tanks anyway, it doesn't take much extra to research amphibious tanks, and having one per stack is a great idea. Main battle tanks are actually pretty great, and if your terrain allows, it's never a bad idea to go for them. They also have some pretty fun perks depending on the doctrine you are using them with. Armor. Is it worth going for? Heck no, just go for multiple rocket launch systems. Seriously, artillery range, missiles, and aircraft make armor relatively irrelevant. Armor is good against bad players or perhaps as a way to beef up and diversify your stacks a little, but I would just rather research other things. However, as with every other unit in the game except for maybe AWACS, they are definitely worth experimenting with. I most certainly hope you enjoyed yet another deep dive video into a conflict of nations genre of units. I do have many more videos planned, and if there are any video suggestions you have, feel free to comment those below. Also, if you have any general questions about Conflict of Nations World War III itself, I will try to answer those to the best of my ability. I thank you for watching, and we will see you later. Just remember, war. War always changes. So, are you always going to say that in your outro, or what? I don't know. I mean, I'd like to have a calling card, but at the same time, people...